Well, good Easter morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. And let me wish everybody a happy Easter. It is, man, the year is literally flying by. I'm just like amazed that we are knee deep in April. We're 2.5 weeks away from the NFL draft. We're only, 2 weeks from Wednesday. 2 weeks from Wednesday, Game Time, Prime Time, David Wiley, DMV, fresh, are headed to Kansas City, where we'll hook up with Randy Seitz to be at the NFL draft. I can't believe it, that we are literally at the NFL draft, that I believe the voluntary workouts start the end of this week. Guys, the football season is just literally around the corner from here. So now, as we get ready, we feel better this year than we did last year. Oh my God, we feel better. Last year, we were dealing with Jerry Jones' paternity suit. We were still, licking our wounds from Amari Cooper going, from Cedric Wilson. We were listening to Catboy saying, we believe in our own guys, but there's not enough money to pay a Pro Bowl punter. We were dealing with Randy Gregory, El Paso. And we just looked at this and we were just like, we don't care. We're going to be ass because of our front office. This year we have hope typically, you don't get that lights out game changer at 26. The question here, as the Dallas Cowboys seem to be pushing the chips in fact, I need to get my poker chips out here. I need to put those on the table so we can start pushing them all in. Are the Cowboys trying to make a run? And the big question is, with the pieces that they brought back, with the pieces that they've added, with players being able to recover from injury and players being able to take the next step. Micah Parsons going into his third year, which usually, that's when that guy really starts to take off. That Tony Pollard now getting the opportunity to be in the limelight for the Cowboys, to be the guy. That Michael Gallup, after, basically being bitch slapped by Mike Martz, and has another year to recover from the ACL, that he has his breakout year. Can we be that team solely by the draft? That is the question. Now, we've had discussions over and over again about Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan Robinson is a distraction. If you've ever been to dog racing, they have like the rabbit that the dogs, jumps out and is a distraction to get everybody's attention, all the dogs' attention, so they go flying after the rabbit in the race, right? I feel like that's what Bijan Robinson is. He is the Johnny Manziel for this year. That, the Cowboys, they want Bijan, and that's the distraction of what they really want to do. Because it doesn't make sense if the Cowboys are focused on getting Bijan Robinson. It doesn't make sense to have tagged Tony Pollard. You tag Tony Pollard because you say, he's our guy. We're going to spend $10 million for Tony Pollard. He's now one of the highest paid running backs in football. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey is the highest, but it goes downhill real quick from there. I think Derrick Henry is like 12. Alvin Kamara is right there about at 15. But he's basically, I think, in the top 5. Let me double check. Let me double check on that. Christian McCaffrey is 16. You've got Alvin Kamara at 15, who may be in jail. You've got Dalvin Cook at 12, Derrick Henry at 12, Nick Chubb at 12, Joe Mixon at 12, Aaron Jones 11-5, and then it's Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, and Saquon. So you have one of the top, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's 8th highest paid running back in football. So if you've got the 8th highest paid running back in football, you're going to turn around and draft a running back too? To split time with the guy you're paying $10.1 million? Sorry, doesn't make sense. You can't invest that. You can't invest that much in running back, a position that you're probably going to only use about 25 at max 30 times in a game. Just won't. That's my opinion. And, again, what do I know? I'm Joe the fan. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did do that. Actually, it would surprise me if they did that. But, to me, that one's not the way to go. For me, the thing that just won't seem to leave me is the belief of getting another playmaker. And maybe that's going to be Ray Flowers. Maybe that's going to be the guy that they get in the draft, not necessarily in the first round, second round. But I still can't get DeAndre Hopkins out of my mind. I still feel like he really wants to be here and that we keep waiting this thing out, that something's going to give in the next couple of weeks. The Cardinals do not want to take that $30 million cap hit in 23. They don't. And I don't believe that they want to wait until next year to get some draft compensation. I still believe that he's going to be a draft day trade. And here's the thing that's kind of crazy. For those who are like, he's old, he's too expensive and things. He only had 700 and some odd yards last year, because he only played in 9 games. It wasn't that he was injured and missed 7 games. He missed 4 games because of a PED suspension. And take a look at the Cardinals' offense last year. Take a look. Most of those yards were made without Kyler Murray. And when you look at the list, and this is where I want to play this clip from NFL Live, because when you look at the list of guys that have thrown to DeAndre Hopkins and the fact that this guy does not drop balls from guys who, how the hell are they even in the NFL? You put him in this offense, you will have a bigger push. You'll have more production than if you got Bijan, because there will be too many weapons out there to cover. CD is developed in his own. You got Brandon Cooks who can get deep. You get Hopkins in the slot. If you're going 4 wides, you got Michael Gallup. And then you got Tony Pollard who can catch out of the backfield. And the key on this is Hopkins is that precise route runner, which is critical to what Mike McCarthy does. Forget the bullshit that Mike McCarthy, I just want to run the football. That's bullshit. There's nothing in his DNA that's ever shown that Mike McCarthy wants to run the football. Let's listen in on this.
Stories that haven't yet happened, and one of them is a DeAndre Hopkins trade, and all seems to be very quiet out of Arizona as Hopkins remains under contract for 2 more seasons with this roster. And while everybody has posted a photo of DeAndre Hopkins in a jersey not with the Arizona Cardinals, no deal has materialized. And from what I've heard, Laura, things remain extremely quiet on the DeAndre Hopkins trade front.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that timeline a little bit and when things could start to heat up. Thanks to Field. More from him coming later. DeAndre Hopkins has consistently been thought of as one of the top wide receivers in the game. A big reason for that, his hands. That's definitely been the case during his tenure in Arizona, as the Cardinals wideout has posted the lowest drop rate of any receiver with at least 200 targets over the last 3 seasons. In total, Hopkins has just 3 drops on 315 targets since the start of the 2020 season. Marcus has smiled so big when we're talking about
3 drops. That's it.
Hands. Okay, Dan, when you think of the trade market for DeAndre Hopkins, when do you think it actually starts to heat up a little bit here?
Yeah, after the draft.
Yeah.
If you're a team going into the draft and you want a pretty big-time playmaking wide receiver and you don't get one, you look to DeAndre Hopkins. If you're in the OBJ sweepstakes, you're in the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. The reality is he's paid like a #1 receiver, but unfortunately because of injuries the last few years, the production hasn't been there. He's got 96 catches in the last 2 years combined. The last time he had 96 in a season was 2017. So that's the reality. I'll throw a flyer team out there. Just if you are the Los Angeles Chargers and you sit there and go, we got a really good roster and we go into the draft and we want a receiver or two and they're not there and they don't get them. I look at saying, well, match DeAndre Hopkins with Mike Williams and Keenan. Now we're talking about the ability to push the ball downfield.
Bro, we same brain. I swear in my pre-production call, I told our Coco, whatever our APs, Los Angeles would be interested for DeAndre Hopkins. I promise you, I told her that. Though. But yeah, absolutely. But I look at DeAndre Hopkins in production because that's the overall arching conversation. You just mentioned it with the injuries. But I think about his production throughout the years. And if you are a contender, you should be looking at bringing in DeAndre Hopkins. Right? Maybe with a restructured contract. Potentially he'll be up for that because now he's in that point of his career where you want to win. I put together a list of the quarterbacks.
Look at this list. Look at this.
Played with throughout his career.
Goodness.
And you tell me about production, playing with these guys.
Brock
I don't want to cast
Brian Hoyer, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Tom Savage,
not many
Matt
of them are
Shaw,
world beaters.
Ryan Millett, Colt McCoy.
And this is the type of production that he's put forward. Obviously, you see what him and Deshaun Watson did and him and Kyler Murray. But DeAndre Hopkins is still a valuable commodity. He's a championship piece. And I still believe he's a solidified #1 wide receiver in this league, especially when you talk about putting points on the board and scoring touchdowns with contested catches. Somebody going to get a valuable piece, maybe under a restructured contract.
And by the way, Coco is a swagoo nickname. Her real name is Chanel, and she is a queen. Real big. Stop
we love you. We love you, Coco.
We're just getting started on NFL Live, you guys.
I think so.
All right, but great points. Because here's the thing that's kind of funny. Here's the thing, and one of the reasons why I still believe that the Cowboys would be interested in it. Okay, forget the smokescreen of Mike McCarthy saying, I just want to run the damn. He was actually just bitch slapping Kellen Moore. In some of those situations, we would have been better off running the football. I'm not going to dispute that, but it's how you run the football. And the way we're going to run the football is going to be different. And in fact, some of the times we're going to be passing the ball that's really like running the ball. That's where Tony Pollard is getting the screenplay. It's used as an elongated handoff. But I want you to think about this, and one of the reasons why I can't seem to get DeAndre Hopkins' idea out of the loop. Because we look and say, oh, well, we got CD, we got Michael Gallup, and, now we got Brandon Cooks. We're good at receiver. But really, are we good? Actually, that's just 3 guys. That's just 3 guys. What do you have after that? What do you have after that? Think about in the early 2010, when they were that team with Aaron Rodgers. Think about the guys that they had wide receiver. They had wide receiver depth galore. Think about they had Randall Cobb, who we're not talking about Randall Cobb of today, who is slowed down. But you had a young Randall Cobb. You had James Jones. You had Jordy Nelson. And you had Greg Jennings. And you even had Donald Driver on some of those teams as well. And then later, you ended up having like Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson, and Devontae Adams. It wasn't just 1 or 2 good guys. They had wide receivers galore. which you have to look at and say, you know, when you have receivers like that, it's easier for Aaron Rodgers to be Aaron Rodgers. I think if you ended up putting Noah Browns for Aaron Rodgers, you'd probably see a lot of what happened this year to Aaron Rodgers. He lost Devontae Adams. He went from being league MVP, number 1 seed in the NFL, number 1 seed, league MVP, to average, going from 4 interceptions to 10. Receivers matter, especially with Mike McCarthy's offense. So the idea of drafting Bijan Robinson as opposed to getting another playmaking wide receiver just doesn't make sense. It's a smokescreen. But we'll see. We'll find out in 2.5 weeks from now, guys. Hope you're having a great Easter Sunday. And we'll still be doing our live stream at 5 o'clock this evening. And if you're around and have nothing to do, be sure to join us. Channel members, I will post the link in the community tab so you can join us and we can discuss, are the Cowboys actually going to be a running team? You know how we roll.
Our coach here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe for the Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
I'll see you later.